They said London could stage any major sporting event at short notice. There was talk before the Rio Olympics, the Football World Cup in Russia, and next year in Qatar. But it's never happened. Until now. 6 months ago, British Swimming stepped in to stage the second biggest para-swimming event in the world. The London Aquatic Centre, once again, has been full of British flags, pride and world-class athletes from 60 countries. This is the Anything But Footy, the unashamedly biased Olympic and Paralympic sport podcast. And we're here to witness some of the success from the Para-Swimming World Championships. We hear from a Paralympic superstar, Ellie Simmonds, and Maisie Summers-Newton, who was inspired by her 7 years ago. And we'll give you some new names to watch out for at Tokyo 2020. I'm John.
And I'm Michael, and John is actually there inside the Aquatic Centre watching the final night of what has been a brilliant week of swimming. So he'll be battling some of the noise and some of the atmosphere inside as we expect more records to tumble and more medals to be won later on. Also coming up on this episode of Anything But Footy, we speak to Olympic gold medalist Hannah Mills. She joins us to launch a brand new initiative called the Big Plastic Pledge. She'll be telling us all about it. An update on the Great Britain and Northern Ireland team heading to Doha for the World Athletics Championships. News from the UCI Para-Cycling Road World Championships in the Netherlands. British success at the Park World Skateboarding Championships in Brazil. And a couple of dates for the diary at the Lee Valley Hockey Centre. All that, and with recent high-profile incidents of sports people competing whilst concussed, we ask whether more needs to be done and how a concussion protocol can be implemented. This is Anything But Footy.
And if we miss your sport, tell us at Anything But F on Twitter or message us on Insta and Facebook. Please share, like and rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We want to hear from you. And I've been coming to the Olympic Park for 8 years, Michael. Today was a first for me. I will tell you more about that later. So it was only in April that London stepped up again to host the major sporting event, the Para-Swimming World Championships. UK Sport and British Swimming rescued the situation after Malaysia was stripped of hosting the Games after not allowing Israeli athletes to compete. The event is the largest para-swimming championships outside of the Paralympic Games, and it sees around 600 swimmers from approximately 60 countries competing. Now, there's been thousands of people here every night. It's been shown on More 4 every night. London and the UK doing what it does best, putting on a good show. World records have tumbled, and it's also been announced this week that Madeira will stage the next one in Funchal in 2021. After the next Paralympics, of course. And that with a year to go before Tokyo 2020, Great Britain have got some new superstar swimmers on their list, as well as the return of a well-known veteran. Well, I say veteran, but she's still only 24. We'll hear from Ellie Simmonds in a moment. For me, though, Michael, some of the performances this week have been absolutely incredible, and Alice Tay really stands out. She's a 20-year-old from Poole. She's won 6 golds in her first 6 events at these championships, and it's not just freestyle where she won the 100 metre freestyle, the S8 100 metre freestyle. She also won the 100 metre backstroke final, also the 100 metre butterfly final as well, and she helped win the relay, a double gold for her on a Friday night when she won the 400 metre freestyle, ending a 10-year winning streak by USA legend Jessica Long, which, you know, is an incredible achievement from her. And then the 50 metre freestyle, and then another. It goes on and on and on, and it's nice to see, Michael, some new names coming through ahead of Tokyo 2020.
Yeah, up to 39 medals on the medal table ahead of the penultimate night for Great Britain. And it's just been a phenomenal success for the home swimmers in the pool. 11 medals in total on the first night, including a 1-2-3 in the men's S14 200 metres freestyle for Rhys Dunn, Tom Hamer and Jordan Catchpole. 9 medals on night 2, 6 medals on the third night, 4 medals on the fourth night. Medals again, including 2 for Alice Tay on the 5th night. And then, as I said, more medals on the 6th night, the penultimate night, taking Great Britain's tally up to 39. And I have to say, you know, with all due respect to people like Rhys Dunn and Tom Hamer and Jordan Catchpole and Stephen Clegg, who have all picked up medals, it's all about the girls, isn't it? The medal tally for the British women at this championships has been absolutely phenomenal. And I put that down to the one person that you mentioned. And I think it's a legacy from London 2012, and it's a legacy from the success and the personality of Ellie Simmonds.
Yeah, absolutely. Bethany Firth, for example, the backstroke 100-metre champion in the S14 category. Lewis Fiddis, the women's SB 1400-metre breaststroke final champion. Rebecca Redfern had to wait 4 days to get into competitive action, and she stormed to victory in the 100-metre breaststroke final in the SB 13 category. So many names that you will maybe not know at the moment, but you may know going into Tokyo and hopefully after Tokyo. But as you rightly say, Michael, one of the biggest names is 24-year-old Ellie Simmonds, and she's had another great week. Remember, she had a year off, but wanted to return to the sport that she became famous for in Beijing in 2008 as a 13-year-old, and she was in tears earlier this week after she won a bronze in the 400-metre freestyle final behind a world record from Yang Jian of China. And Ellie won this bronze in Rio, so shows that she's on course again for Tokyo 2020. And then this evening in this final event, final night of action, as you say, we're here at the London Aquatic Centre in a really noisy atmosphere and a great British atmosphere. She won, in her words, a surprise bronze medal in the 100-metre breaststroke, and I caught up with her afterwards.
So shocked about that, to get bronze medal in 100 breast in an event that it's just a fun event for me, and to get 2 PBs in one day, personal best in the morning, personal best tonight, I'm just literally so happy. And so I'm not, it's not really hitting, after my 400 free I was quite emotional, but for this one I'm just, not really thinking about it.
Because you said it was for fun, didn't you?
Yeah, it's just a fun meet. So to come away with a bronze, literally, I can't believe it.
And what about you had a year off? You're back now with the plans for Tokyo, so still full steam ahead for that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Full steam ahead towards Tokyo. I'm going to have a break now and celebrate the achievements with my team tonight, and watch my team, enjoy my medal ceremony, relax, have a break, go on holiday, and then get ready, full steam ahead towards Tokyo.
And a quick word on the team. I mean, Alice Tay has caught the eye with 6 golds already, but, brilliant performance from British swimming.
Oh, absolutely amazing performance from British swimming. We're all from a buzz, and we're all starting. My teammate Susanna Hex is swimming now, which is absolutely amazing. Not Suzanne, sorry, Brock Winston. Alice Ty is doing amazing. Tully, everyone, it's just absolutely incredible.
And finally, what's it like being back in this pool?
Oh, I love it. This is my pool that I train in every day, and to get a medal and to get him performing in front of the home crowd, it's why we do it, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning and train, and for moments like this when you do personal bests.
That's Ellie Simmonds talking to John. We are at the Aquatic Centre tonight for the final evening of the World IPC Swimming World Championships. And what an event, as we've already said, it's been. Fantastic success, not just in the pool as well, with all those medals being won for the British swimmers, but just a success of the staging of the event tonight as well. And obviously you're there and you're seeing just how well organised it's all been.
Oh, it's great to see the British flags back in the Olympic Park. As I said, we've been coming here for 7 or 8 years, and you can never recapture 2012, but boy do we put on a good show. And the noise in that thing, as you heard with that interview, you kind of have to yell. And I think what's interesting is not to forget, as you said earlier, the power of 2012. People like Ellie Simmonds really inspired, particularly 17-year-old Maisie Summers-Newton, who was just 10 years of age in 2012, and she came here and watched Ellie. Now, she absolutely raised the roof this week with a world record breaking performance in the women's SM6 200-metre individual medley final. She, shaved 0.7 off her existing record. Incredible performance. Ellie Simmonds was back in 4th in that race, and she then grabbed 2nd tonight in the 100-metre breaststroke in a new European record behind another world record from the Chinese.
I mean, I'm really happy with it. To finish off with the week like that is amazing. So.
What it's like swimming in this pool where you were here, of course, 7 years ago?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think when I first got here on Monday I was a bit shocked, but I mean, as the week's gone on I've really enjoyed it, so yeah.
And it gives you hope for Tokyo next year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like to have confidence, and this has given me loads of confidence, so definitely.
Well, many congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
And Michael, what I really like about the British swimmers is that it's really interesting because they're disappointed when they don't win. Maisie was not greatly happy with her silver medal. And actually a mention for Jessica Jane Applegate, the London 2012 gold medalist, and 3 medals in Rio, a couple of silver and bronze. She broke the championship record in the heats of the women's S1400 metres butterfly earlier, but only finished 2nd in the finals tonight, and she was actually in tears afterwards. She'd won a gold already this week in the relay, but it shows just how successful British swimmers swimming are. And I think, you've mentioned it before, it just needs a bit more coverage. We need to be shouting about the success of these swimmers.
Yeah, I mean, you look at someone like Alice Tay, who we mentioned right at the start, 6 gold medals across the week. There was a 4th place finish for her as well on the penultimate night.
She lost one.
Yes, in the 200 metres individual medley in the S8 category. But, that is just some achievement. 6 gold medals. She should, I wonder whether she will be, on the shortlist for Sports Personality of the Year, because 6 gold medals at any World Championship in any sport is phenomenal.
Now, I've been coming to the Olympic Park since the end of 2011, as I say, and it's sometimes felt like my second home. You can ask my missus about it. Today I did a first. Not very PC, I'll admit it, not very right on, but frankly it was easier and it was cheaper, and I drove to the Olympic Park.
Wow,
and
no javelin train for John. I
know, and I parked nearby, and I've never done this before, and what a sight that velodrome is when you come off the A12. The Here East buildings where BT Sport are now based used to be the main press centre in the Olympics. I drove right past the Copper Box, which is one of the great indoor venues, and I remember the Paralympics was superb for the wheelchair rugby. Amazing transport links this place has, but I tell you what, for big events, it is incredible, and you have to come here on public transport, on the javelin and the tubes, as you say. But seeing all the new houses being built and building work everywhere and driving right through the park, I'll be honest, Michael, it was a real treat, and I absolutely loved it.
You're listening to Anything But Footy. Don't forget you can find us on Twitter at AnythingButF. We're on Facebook. We're also on Instagram if you want to send us a message there. Maybe give us a nudge in the direction of your sport or your favourite sporting personality that you don't think gets enough coverage from the world of Olympic and Paralympic sports. Still to come, we'll have another big name guest. Olympic gold medalist and London 2012 silver medalist sailor Hannah Mills is going to be joining us on Anything But Footy. She has launched a new initiative called the Big Plastic Pledge, and she'll be telling us all about it inside the next 20 minutes. Only here on Anything But Footy.
I'm so glad you didn't use my line, which is, we'll be talking rubbish with Hannah Mills.
No.
Same old story for Sarah Story this week, the 14-time Paralympic champion. We mentioned the velodrome here at the Olympic Park. Well, she's won 2 golds out and about on the roads in Netherlands for the UCI Para-Cycling World Championships. The WC5 time trial and the C5 road race title are once again hers. She's now won 33 world titles in her career. She is a machine, and off to Tokyo 2020 as well. And medals too for Steve Bate and Adam Duggleby, Katie Toft, Ben Watson and Laura Fackie, and Corinne Hall and Jaco van Gas as well. Well done to British cycling.
Yeah, and if Dame Sarah Story is approaching, and I apologise to her for saying it, veteran status, we've got some new kids on the block, literally new kids. Sky Brown, 11 years of age, at the Park World Skateboarding Championships in Sao Paulo in Brazil. She's won a bronze medal. Excellent score of 55 meant she was actually top of the pile. She led after her first run, but she dropped to bronze despite improving that score to 58.3 in her second run. Remember, this is all part of the seasonal qualification now for Tokyo 2020, where skateboarding is making its debut, and Sky Brown is hoping to be part of Team GB. She's aiming to become Britain's youngest ever Olympian.
Now, to put you on the spot, Michael, if I was to ask you your favourite or one of your favourite Olympic sports?
Difficult one. I've got a lot of Olympic sports I like, obviously track and field, swimming. Loved the hockey in Rio, triathlon. I do like, I have to say, and I put a lot of this down to Nicola Adams and Katie Taylor of Ireland, actually, the fantastic atmosphere at the Excel Centre in London. I do like the artistry and the strength and the skill on display in the boxing. Well,
I'm glad you've said that, because obviously I want to talk to you about what's been going on this week in the sport of boxing. Now, of course, in 2012, it wasn't staged here at the Olympic Park. It was down the road at the Excel Centre. We have big hopes. We won lots of medals, including Anthony Joshua in 2012. And I want to talk to you about him because Rob McCracken, who is the GB Boxing Performance Director, and if you heard our Tokyo 2020 preview, and you can still download it if you haven't, we think that we will win big medals in the boxing. He's been criticised this week for saying that he knew Joshua was concussed when the former Olympic champion, the gold medalist from 2012, was, of course, in trouble in the third round against Andy Ruiz Jr. in June. But of course let him fight on before losing in the 7th round. Now, Headway, the brain charity, said after that trainers have a duty of care to their boxers, and it seems clear Anthony Joshua's trainer's sole priority was winning that fight, not protecting the fighter from a potentially fatal injury. GB Boxing have come out and said anyone who has ever seen him work knows he has the best interest of the boxers at heart, and McCracken has kind of said, in also a statement, "I'm not a doctor, it may be that concussed is not the right term to have used." Is it fair criticism, Michael?
Absolutely, it's fair criticism, and I'm not going to point the finger directly at Rob McCracken, because I actually do accept his explanation here, that I think in an interview, in a relaxed situation, recording a podcast, which is what he was doing, he did use the word concussed, and I think he's probably used that word in the wrong sentence and the wrong context, rather. So, I do accept Rob McCracken's apology, and I think it's the detail of the language that he's used that people have seized upon here. But the bigger picture is, if you look at a sport like NFL, where they have neurological spotters working, and this has been an issue in the last couple of days because the New York Giants' Sterling Shepard was actually not spotted in an NFL game by the spotters or the medical staff. They completely missed a concussion incident with him. They didn't trigger the protocol. Had he been involved in a clash, he had been involved in this clash with a Dallas Cowboys cornerback called Anthony Brown. They didn't then kick the protocol in, so he played the rest of the game. He has now been ruled out of the match with the Buffalo Bills. Now, obviously the system there has failed, but the system is in place and it's the right thing to do. In boxing, you've got a referee who stands between the two boxers and gives them the count, and then you're also asking the referee to make a decision over the welfare of that boxer, or you're asking trainers or people on the sidelines to make that decision, who are, of course, are very heavily involved in trying to get their boxer to win. I think, like the NFL and like other sports, boxing needs an external panel, if you like, an external spotting team to see a situation like this and then make the decision on behalf of everybody else who's maybe too involved in the fight about the boxer's welfare and whether that fighter is fit enough to continue.
I think that's a really good point. Only a doctor can say someone was concussed. You can't, only a doctor can say that. So I think you're absolutely right with that idea. And I think this argument or this disagreement this week seems a little too easy to throw terms around on both sides. Concussed, McCracken shouldn't have used it. Only doctors know and can diagnose it, as you rightly say. But also the criticism of him, saying that he had a duty of care and priority was winning. They're thrown away as well. That's not him. Anyone, as GB Boxing knows, he has the best interests at heart. So I think both of them were slightly wrong in the argument. But what a good idea you've come up with. They should sign up that idea, absolutely.
Well, I think the bigger picture is actually all the sports need to get together. There needs to be some kind of force here for good between all the sports, because you've got someone like Steve Smith, who was concussed during the Ashes, as we all saw. Cricket Australia have absolutely no protocols over concussion. So Steve Smith, as far as Cricket Australia were concerned, could theoretically have played in that next Test match. Obviously, in the end, they ruled him out. Now, the ECB, the English and Welsh Cricket Board, actually their protocol is you should have a minimum 6 days rest if you're concussed in a match. FIFA have a protocol, World Rugby have a protocol, British horse racing have a protocol. In boxing, the protocols change depending on who's organising the fight. Some of them it's 28 days, others it's 45 days rest after a knockout. Why these sports can't get together, obviously with the medical people, and come up with a catch-all solution to this, I do not know. It seems to me that it would be a very, very simple thing to do, that across all professional sport and all amateur sport and in all these major sporting events that we talk about, if concussion is going to be an issue, that all the sports sign up, if you like, to one rule of thumb.
Yeah, you're right about World Rugby. Of course, the Rugby World Cup up and coming, and it's going to be massive for the next 6 weeks for England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland and the likes. And I think you're right, the focus has to be the right focus. And if they can all join together and get it right, then maybe that's what they should be doing. This is Anything But Footy, the unashamedly Olympic and Paralympic podcast, and we are tonight in the Olympic Park in London, remembering how windy it is, and also how many planes fly over it as well.
Seagulls.
Fortunately, I haven't been taken out yet by one of those. Obviously, the Olympic Stadium behind me, the home of West Ham now, was the home of Super Saturday, where, of course, British athletics had one of its greatest nights. And, of course, British athletics preparing for the World Championships in Doha, Michael.
Yeah, and there's been an update to that original team of 72, which was announced by British athletics to represent Great Britain and Northern Ireland at the World Championships in Doha. Jasmine Sawyers is in now. She was invited by the IAAF, and British athletics having accepted that invite, so she now goes into the team. She was 1 centimetre short of an automatic qualification distance. Imani Lansiko also comes in. Now, this is because of the quirk that Dina Asher-Smith, by winning the Diamond League, meant that she got a wildcard entry into the World Championship. So essentially that opened up a place in the 100 metres team. So Imani Lansiko is in, and it's the first time ever Great Britain and Northern Ireland have had 4 representatives then in the women's 100 metres. And for Jasmine Sawyers, as I said, 1 centimetre short of the qualification distance. Commonwealth Games silver medalist, a European silver medalist, finished 8th in Rio. I think it's probably the right thing to do for British athletics, because she is one of those athletes, and we've spoken at length about this before, she's one of those athletes that I think on her day could potentially head towards the medals. I know there's been lots of other people that were maybe invited by the IAAF that British athletics haven't taken up the invite. I understand a lot of those decisions because, for example, you're not necessarily going to take the 41st best steeplechaser in the world.
And that's the point. So Amelia Stricker, who is a shot putter, said on Twitter, "I'm heartbroken knowing I'm in the top 32 in the world, but my invite wasn't accepted. Time to get ready for 2020. She didn't get the qualifying mark, a bit like Jasmine Sawyer, but British athletics said, no, you're not going, even though she had an invite from the IAAF. And the same, you mentioned steeplechase, the same as Phil Norman, 3,000 metres. He says gutted is an understatement. He missed the qualifying time by a few hundredths of a second. I suppose, Michael, the IAAF obviously want as many athletes there as they can, but actually this doesn't help. If you don't get the qualifying mark that British athletics have set, then why invite athletes that just missed out? And I suppose that's the difficulty, that Jasmine Sawyer is going, and congratulations to her, and I'm really pleased for her, but she just missed out, but she's going. But a couple of other people who just missed out are not going. And I don't know whether you saw on Twitter this week, one of Britain's gold medal stories from Sydney 20 years ago was all about Jonathan Edwards. Yeah. Yep. And it recalled how in 1988 he was 23rd at the Olympics. Didn't qualify for 1992, was the favourite in Atlanta and got silver, and then finally won gold in Sydney. And sometimes you think, well, surely some people have got to go on a journey and got to be allowed time to develop, rather than, are they going to win a medal in Doha or Tokyo? Okay, it's not worth them going.
Yeah, very different times though. Remember, in the late 80s and early 90s, it was pre-lottery funding. So I have a certain amount of sympathy that this is public money that's being spent. British athletics obviously have commercial income as well as public money, but essentially, it's our money, and they have to make a decision. They can't take everyone, and clearly the decision was made that Jasmine Sawyers, as someone that's won, medals at top level competition, and someone that's been in an Olympic final, was worth taking because potentially could do the business out in Doha. And talking of doing the business, London 2012 silver medalist and Rio 2016 sailing champion Hannah Mills has been putting her off-season to good use by launching a brand new initiative. It's called the Big Plastic Pledge, and she wants to use the power of sport, backed by the IOC, to encourage people to take up to 3 pledges to help reduce the consumption of single-use plastic. And she told Anything But Footy why she felt compelled to get involved.
Hey guys, I'm Hannah Mills, Olympic gold medal winning sailor from Rio 2016. The Big Plastic Pledge is a global movement which unites the whole of the sporting community to tackle single-use plastic pollution in sport. Whether you're an athlete, a fan, a volunteer, a weeknight five-a-sider, or someone who goes to the park run every Saturday, whoever you are, if you're involved in sport in any way, then this is for you, and I'd love you to join us and become a part of it. I think as sailors, and any sport that involves water, I think it's very easy for us to see how much plastic pollution has increased over the last 10, 15, 20 years. Honestly, it's very visible. When we go out sailing now, we see plastic every single day, almost without fail, and that never used to be the case. The beaches, the marinas, There's just so much more plastic everywhere, and it's almost like a never-ending tidal flow of plastic coming to the shore. And so it's heartbreaking. And I think it touches us in such a way that it does ignite that passion to want to do something about it. But for me, the Big Plastic Pledge is to unite all sports, and not just the water sports. You know, it's the hockey pitches, it's the stadiums, it's the rings, it's everywhere. Sport is so powerful. To me, it's one of the few things that has the ability to unite people in such a way. It crosses borders, it breaks down barriers. I think we've all watched and felt the emotion of someone winning an Olympic gold medal, or your team losing in a final match, and feeling that despair and that devastation with them. And I wanted to harness that power and that energy and use it to create this movement so that we can tackle single-use plastics in sport. Becoming Olympic champion definitely didn't change my life as such. It is an incredible, amazing thing to do and to win. I still can't quite believe it. Happened to me, having dreamt about it for so many years, but it was such a personal achievement for myself and my family and my friends and supporters, and it's really special, and it hasn't changed my life, but it certainly does help with trying to launch initiatives like this. You know, I couldn't have done it without the support of lots of people around me, but in particular the International Olympic Committee have been fantastic. We've had a fantastic summer. We've been out training as much as possible in the Olympic venue in Japan, a place called Enoshima, and the conditions out there are amazing. It's just unbelievable sailing. We have huge waves. You know, it's open to the Pacific Ocean, so we get massive waves, great winds. And it's just been an unbelievable summer. We won the World Championships out there and then placed second at the Olympic test event sort of straight after. So it's been really full on, but we're feeling good. We've got loads of stuff to still do and tick off, as I'm sure every athlete at this point in the Olympic cycle does. But we're feeling positive and really excited to experience the next year, because it's just so exciting being a part of the Olympic Games. So it's really simple to get involved. Go to the website www.bigplasticpledge.com. Go to the pledge page. There's 9 pledges, all very different, but all with some great ideas for how you can help reduce your single-use consumption. But as I said, to be involved, you've got to choose 3. Obviously we'd like you to choose more, but it's minimum of 3, and that was really important to me, because I wanted it to be personal. So I wanted people to be able to choose which ones they were definitely going to commit to, but also I wanted to make it global so that anyone anywhere could take part.
The website for that, just to recap, www.bigplasticpledge.com. There are 9 pledges in total on that website. Hannah wants you to take up a minimum of 3. I have done it. My 3, I want to spread the word of the Big Plastic Pledge. I think we're doing that right now. I want to take my own water bottle to sporting events and won't use single-use plastic bottles, and I want to leave no trace. It's simple things like taking my rubbish away, but all of that will help, of course, with the bigger picture of saving the planet. And as an Olympic sailor, as she was saying there, she really sees it more than most.
I mean, it started at Rio, didn't it? She literally waded through rubbish at times, which is incredible. Look, it all seems
made her ill.
Yeah, it seems really reasonable to me that you can stop using reusable bottles. You can not use, plastic cups. Well done to Hannah. Well done to the IOC as well. They get a lot of criticism. Well done to them. And look, it's made me go, I've just drunk 2 water bottles, and I need to not do that, and make sure I don't do that when I come to my next sporting event here on the Olympic Park, especially as I've driven. So I'm in real bad trouble here, Michael.
You could be back for the hockey, couldn't you? So you've got a chance to make amends for that.
I could, talking of the men's and the women. So we know who Great Britain have to play in the women in the hockey to get to Tokyo. Look, this is as simple as it gets. They have to win these matches. If not, they do not go. Even though the women are the reigning champions, they don't automatically go and defend their title at Tokyo 2020. So the women will play Chile, who are ranked 18th in the world. They've never played them before, and England currently ranked 5th, and that's how the rankings are done on the England performance. But this is a British team. They do not automatically qualify, and it's so hard to win the Olympics, 4 years on, as I think the women are finding. But they've got the chance to get back there against Chile. And then the men, who will, of course, currently 7th in the world, ranked as England, they will play Malaysia, currently 11th in the world, and they drew 3-3 in August. So they have some interesting opposition there. It's not going to be easy for either of them. The Lee Valley Hockey and Tennis Centre, which is just over the Aquatic Centre, I can kind of point at it as I talk to you. They'll be hosting the matches with a 2-legged playoff at the beginning of November, and the tickets are on sale on Monday the 16th of September, which for some of you is today.
He's pointing at it. In golf, the Solheim Cup was held over the weekend at Glen Eagles. The captain of Europe was Katrina Matthew, who you might recall was, of course, one of those history-making golfers in Rio when golf returned to the Olympic Games. And congratulations to Katrina Matthew and her Europe team. They did it the hard way, but they have beaten the USA 14.5 points to 13.5 points. They won their final 3 singles matches to seal that victory, and one of her wildcard picks, Suzanne Petterson, sunk the winning putt with some fantastic drama at Glen Eagles. Katrina Matthew described it all as unbelievable.
More success for British canoeists in the para-canoe test event in Tokyo. Charlotte Henshaw won gold and Emma Wiggs silver in the KL2 at the Sea Forest Waterway. Victory for Jeanette Chippington and Wiggs in third in the VL2 category as well. And former hockey, now athlete, now kayaker, Laura Sugar won gold in the KL3, saying it was great to experience the conditions and I learnt a lot. Ready, steady, Tokyo is the full focus, and it is our focus here on Anything But Footy. From gold, silver and bronze to plastic this week, it's been another magnificent week for Olympic and Paralympic sport, and Anything But Footy has been there throughout, and here at the World Para Swimming as well, here at the Olympic Park. Stay with us as well until Tokyo 2020 for updates, but do us a favour, tell your friends, tell your teammates, tell everybody that you know about us. Go to Apple Podcasts, give us a review and give us a rating and get us well known, because we want to spread the word of these sports that we all love.